Hey guys, it's Mishal and you are watching Q&A with Mishal episode number 6. Now in this episode I'm talking about how to say no to someone more elegantly, how to bounce back after a rejection. I'm also talking about how to stay motivated consistently day after day. And lastly, I'm also talking about how to how to stay away from the toxic people and toxic situations. So let's not waste our time. Let's jump right into it. Rahi, what's my question number 1?
So the first question is how to say no to someone without feeling guilty.
Okay, so this is my favorite questions of all time. I have done this so many times, right? So basically, just want to give you a quick backstory to it, right? So the moment I stepped into college, right? This was about 15 years ago. The moment I stepped in, I realized that okay, everyone around me, they are more skilled and more talented than I ever was, and that's the level I really wanted to play. So I knew that I'm gonna have to start working on myself. I was not a very studious kid. I always had throughout my schooling time and even in the college I had average amount of grades, right? But I knew that if I really want to do anything in the marketplace, I should be able to sort of communicate my opinions and express my point of views, right? So I had to do a lot of work on myself. Now, when you are in college, all you really want to do is really want to have fun with your friends, right? And I started making a lot of good friends. And for the first few months, what you're doing is every day you are going out with your friends. You have some kind of a lifestyle, and once you sort of finish the college, you don't take your life that seriously. But I was on a different. I had different priorities at the time. I knew okay what I really want to do, what I really want to do, what I really want to be known for, and what's my priority number 1, 2, and 3, right? So what really happens? You finish your classes, and your friend's gonna ask you to come to go clubbing, go for the movies and the restaurants, just hang out for no goddamn reason, right? But then I knew what I really had to do, so I started saying Lord knows. So in that process, okay, I was hurting a lot of people too. I was actually disappointing a lot of people too, but those were not my priorities, right? My priorities when I was in college was not to expand my circle. I already had a massive circle when I was in high school, right? But I consciously decided to step away from that circle. Now I did not get really excited by hanging out with 15 people, 20 people. Okay, I wasn't enjoying being really popular in the school and the college, right? Now I knew my priorities. I really had to sort of work on my skills so I can actually compete in the marketplace when I step out of the college. So I started saying no. For the first few months, I started disappointing other people, right? When people were sort of hanging out after sort of 10 at night, I was already asleep because I had to sort of get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So I can start reading books and everything. So I started saying no. That's the time I basically realized that as you sort of grow up in your life, you are basically saying more no's than you are saying yeses. And saying no is not a bad thing. It's not about what you say. It's about how you say what you say, right? When you say no to someone, that means that that doesn't mean that you are being rude, but that means that you just know your priorities. You know what's really important for you at that point in your time, right? Sometimes, let's say that you finish your college, you're working for someone else, you are starting your own family. You cannot even hang out with your regular friends even over the weekends because now you have different priorities, right? So when you're saying no to someone, just do not have any guilt about it, because now what really excited you at the age of sort of 15 doesn't really excite you at the age of 20, and definitely doesn't get you going at the age of 25, right? So when you're saying no, you know your priorities. You know what you really want out of your life at that point in time. Now let's just talk about this on a business standpoint, right? Let's say that you work, obviously work for me, but you are already working on sort of 10 projects, and out of those 10 projects, 5 projects are extremely important, okay, and you really have to sort of deliver over the next sort of 3 to 4 days, and that is like really, really important. I come to you and I give you the project number 11. Obviously, you do not want to disappoint me naturally, so you're gonna say yes. You're gonna take on to the project, but now you have more than you can possibly chew. But when you say yes, I'm still gonna come after you closer to the time. When we get closer to the deadline, I'm still gonna ask you where we at with this project. But then what you're gonna do is now, by saying yes, you are responding to the false emergencies around you, right? You're responding to the false alarm, other people's emergencies. Just because this certain thing is urgent for that person doesn't have to be your number one priority, right? So what you're going to deal with it. As I said in the beginning, it's not about what you say, right? It's about how you say what you say. So now you are actually giving me a reasoning. So Mishal, you already give me about, I'm literally right now as we speak working on 10 projects. Out of those 10 projects, 5 projects are extremely important. You want this delivered by this day, right? Right now, I've already got more than I can possibly chew, and I really do not want to compromise on the quality, because I know that when I compromise, when I rush things, when I rush into things, what really happens, the quality gets compromised, and I do not want to, I do not want to do that, okay? So right now, I cannot give you this thing by this day, but what I can do, let me get this thing, 5 things out of the way, right? And then I immediately gonna get onto the project. Sounds fair enough?
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So now I would appreciate that. You've been really honest. I'm a big boy, I can handle that, right? And people who really doesn't understand that, then what they think is not your business. Okay, so yeah, so when you say no, that means it's not a bad thing. You just know your priorities, and yeah, you don't have to feel guilty about it.
The question number 2 is, how do you deal with toxic people and the situation?
Okay, so here's the thing about toxic people. Okay, toxic people are like energy vampires, right? You have to start identifying those people who are really not negative, okay, who are really toxic, who are really manipulative. You need to identify them, and you're gonna have to remove them out of your circle, because if you're gonna keep surrounding yourself with people who are really negative, really toxic, right, they're always making you feel guilty about things that you do and the choices that you're making. What's gonna happen is they're gonna suck every bit of energy out of you. They're gonna suck the life out of you, and life is all about energy, right? And energy, we all have finite amount of energy. We don't have infinite amount of energy, right? You're gonna have to start treating your energy like your last $1,000 in your account, right? If you have a last $1,000 in your account, how are you going to spend it? Obviously, you're not gonna spend that money on things that you don't want, to impress people you don't even like, right? Same way, energy works the same way. We all have finite amount of energy to work with every single day. Every time you're communicating with people who are really egoistic, okay, who are really toxic, right? They're really jealous, and they're always making you feel guilty about the choices. What's happening, right? They make you less certain about your choices. They make you less confident, right? So the moment you identify that you're surrounding yourself with people who are really, really toxic, they are negative, fire them out of your life. It could be your best friend, the person you have been hanging out with ever since you were in school, right? But every relationship has its deadline, right? So now, because you evolve as a human being, right? So now, if that person doesn't understand your priorities and the goals, okay, then you're just gonna have to say no to them, right? You're just gonna have to take them out of your circle, because if you're not gonna, that's the risk you are going to have to take. Because the reason we do it, because at the end of the day, we want to be happy, right? You cannot produce anything good with a negative mindset. Okay, so because if you're gonna spend enough time with these people, their outlook on life is going to become your outlook. Their limiting beliefs, because these guys are so opinionated and they are really crafty with the words, their limiting beliefs are going to become your limiting beliefs. And as I just said it, you cannot create anything positive with a negative mindset.
So, yeah, the third question is sometimes life gets really hectic and we tend to lose the sight of our purpose. And because of that, motivation fluctuates. Some days you are really motivated and some days you're not. So, my question here is how to stay motivated on our day to day life?
Here's the thing about motivation, okay? A lot of people have misconceptions around being motivated. Now, motivation is not something that you just have. A lot of people just think and assume that the motivation is just land upon them on any given day, right? Some days they feel motivated because it is just the way it is, and some days they're really demotivated. Sometimes they just don't feel like waking up in the morning, and they're so busy with the life, the things they have to do on a regular basis, they don't even know what motivation feels like. Motivation is like energy plants, right? The energy plants do not have the energy, it generates the energy. Same way, we do not have the motivation, right? We generate the motivation by doing certain things in certain ways. Okay, so one of the first things that you need to do is you always need to know why you're doing what you are doing. Okay, a lot of people actually, every time I talk to one of my clients, and one of the first questions I ask them, then how much money you want to make, because I believe that money is extremely important, right? So I try and address that right off the bat, and because they're having a session with me, they think that I'm assuming some big number, I'm expecting some big number out of them, so they gave me this certain number, right? And then I asked them the next question: why do you want to make that kind of money? What you gonna do with that kind of money, right? You never made this kind of money in your entire life, and they do not have any clear answer to that, right? If you don't know why you're doing certain things, you cannot do it on a consistent basis. And if you cannot do it, the reason you cannot do it on a consistent period of time, like consistently, because there is no strong reason behind it. Why do you want to get up 4 in the morning and go to the gym, right? You can only do it for about 7 days. But if you know that, if you know why you need to become healthy so you can be with your family for 50 years, 70 years, 80 years, right? You can enjoy your kids. You know that how you feel when you do not have the stamina, you do not have the motivation. Now you understand like really deeply why motivation is so important, why your health is so important, and why you need to get up 4 in the morning and go to the gym and eat good food. Right? So now you don't need the motivation. Then it all comes down to the habit and the consistency, right? When you know that the money is an extremely important part of the equation, and money is only 1% of the things that we are trying to achieve in a lifetime, right? So you are motivated because you want to solve that problem as early as possible. You do not want to worry about the money when you're 55. So it doesn't matter how many calls you are going to have to make on a regular basis. Your motivation is not going to get affected because you know exactly why you want to make that kind of money. You know, once you start making that kind of money, your parents can have whatever they want without worrying about the price tag. You can provide the best lifestyle to your kids. You can send them to the best school, right? Like for example, when I was growing up, I made a decision very early in my life that when I grow up, I may have 10,000 problems in my life. Money is not going to be one of them. So every time I'm calling my clients, every time I'm creating the content or doing anything around my business and I'm failing, I'm not getting the traction, it doesn't really affect my motivation. Yes, every now and then I do feel burned out. But the moment I feel burned out, what I really do, I sit down with my journal and I just start writing the reason I want to do this. I just give myself 10 reasons, 20 reasons why this goal is extremely important. And I don't do it every now and then. I do it every single day before I open my mouth in the morning. So I have those goals in front of me, and I also have those reasons why those goals are extremely important for my existence.
Okay. So the last question is, how can we bounce back after rejection? Basically, how do we deal with the no?
Okay, so this is you need to understand that when it comes to rejection, it's all about perspective. Okay, it also depends on at what stage you're receiving the no, right? For example, if you're in college and you really like this girl and she said no, right? So how do you sort of deal with that? Or for example, let's say that you're about to get into your first job and you're a salesman or you're an entrepreneur, or you may be at a phase where you have sort of few interviews lined up and you're really scared to take that no, right? So what it means. So here's the thing, right? You have to develop a certain level of perspective, because no is really not a bad thing. Like for example, when I got into sales and marketing, right? This is the belief I had very deliberately and consciously developed, that every time I'm actually getting a no, I'm actually getting closer to one yes, and I actually believe in that theory. So every time someone saying no to me, I'm not investing any of my energy, any of my time figuring out why that person said no. I'm just moving on to the next call without investing into it, without reading more into it. Reasoning behind that thing is, let's say hypothetically that you have to dial a certain amount of calls before you're going to get that one sale, right? And we don't know what the number is, right? It could be 50, it could be 60, it could be 70, let's say it could be 150. So what does it mean that after 150 calls, you're going to get that one sale that is going to change your life, okay? The number is 150. So how are you going to go after the calls? You don't care how many people are saying no. You just want to get to that 150th rejection so that 151st call can change your life. So that's how I looked at the rejection. So every time someone's saying no, and understand this, okay? When I started doing this, I had a very thick Indian accent, right? I am basically talking about the investment property, real estate. I'm asking information to my clients. The first few weeks and the first couple of months, I was getting hammered on the phone. I was literally, you can say that I was actually taking no for an answer. I was taking no for an answer for a living. Right? I knew that the moment I'm going to start my shift, I'm going to have to take 250 rejections today. But I'm not putting my focus onto that. No, I'm not giving myself the reason it really doesn't affect my energy and motivations. It's just a temporary no. Okay, 6 months down the track, he might be saying yes. Okay, or 12 months down the track, he might be saying yes, or 24 months. We don't know what that time frame is, and it really happens. And sometimes you also have to look at it in a way that the reason people are saying no because you genuinely suck. That's the hard truth. Like for me, okay, initially I genuinely from the bottom of my heart sucked. If I was actually taking an interview of myself 15 years ago, I wouldn't give myself a job. I really sucked. So there was a kind of an eye-opener. Instead of being completely dismissive about someone saying no, right? I sort of expanded my perspective on it, and I started working on myself. When someone says no, the person, like for example, you're in college and you really like this guy, right? Or if you're in a college, you really like this girl, maybe because she doesn't like the way you sort of dress up, right? So what you do, right? Just dress up nice. Don't be dismissive. Okay, there's a numbers game, and I'm just gonna keep approaching the girls. I'm gonna keep approaching the guys until I find someone who's gonna say yes. No, you can't. Then it's gonna be a really hard game, right? Just go back into the lab and start working on yourself. You're the best deal you ever got. That's the wrap, guys. And again, this was Q&A with Mishal, episode number 6. Now, understand this, guys. These are your questions. I'm answering them. Now, if you want me to answer any of the questions in relation to business, mindset, marketing, sales, how to get the best out of your people, how to get the best out of yourself, or if you have any question in regards to the high performance mentality, please don't forget to type your questions at the bottom in the comment section, and I'm going to try my best to cover those questions in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next time.